Hey everybody, Matt here with the Brooklyn Classical Guitar Society, and I'm here with Octávio Deluchi, and we're here to talk about his upcoming concert with the Brooklyn Classical Guitar Society. We're super excited to have you back, and that's a really important part because I know this project has its roots in kind of around the time you played for us last in February of 2024, which is hard to believe that was over 2 years ago.
Exactly. Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm really excited for our concert on the 21st. So yes, it's good to be back at the Brooklyn Classical Guitar Society, especially because the concert that I'm going to be presenting for you guys and for everyone, the project started on that gig, the same concert 2 years ago when we first collaborated together. A little story behind that is that in 2023, the year before, I was touring in Brazil, and then talking to a lot of people, I realized that even though I'm from Brazil, I grew up there, I never played Brazilian guitar. I never played the Brazilian repertoire on the guitar, and it was like, that's time for change, because that's such a wide repertoire, most of the great performers have recorded that. We teach our students there. We play sometimes a lot of different composers from that. And I realized, until 2023, I have not explored that aspect. And then I just felt the urge for a change. And then my concert in 2024 for the society was the first one that I incorporated this repertoire into my program. So it started all there, and now we come back with first big cycle. I don't want to say like finishing, but like as a result of these ideas.
Yeah, I was really interested about that because, as you mentioned, to not play as much Brazilian repertoire, it's one of the most popular genres. Like when you're a classical guitar teacher, let me play Villalobos, let me play Hadames Nathalie. There's a lot of interest in that. So it's cool to see you develop that as an artist. And, one of our things with this concert series, it's called our Artist to Watch series. So it's really about kind of highlighting guitarists, musicians, kind of at the start of their finding their voice and their career on stage. So it's really interesting to see you kind of develop that in front of our eyes. We saw the performance in 2024, and we're about to see now. I know you said it's not finished, but now seeing a more, evolved repertoire selection and performance, which is really exciting. So tell us a little bit about your program, right? Because now not only are you going to be kind of celebrating the release of your album, so check that out when when it comes out, but you're also then going to be presenting a book, right, of arrangements?
Exactly. So there are two big news for this concert, which is first the release of the album, which is gonna come after the week after that. So that's why it's gonna be the album release concert here in New York. And the album is a celebration of Brazilian music for the guitar. So the album is gonna feature Hadames Nathalie, Marco Pereira, Chiquinha Gonzaga, and João Pernambuco. And in parallel to that, I have been working a lot on this composer, this Brazilian composer called Chiquinha Gonzaga. She was born in the mid of 19th century. She's one of the most celebrated Brazilian composers of all time, one of the founders of choro music, one of the founders of carnival music as well. And she does not get to be performed on the guitar that often, not to say almost at all. And then listening to her work, I was like, wow, I would love to play that. So it always started with a personal desire of playing her music on the guitar, and then throughout the process of the research of arrangements, I realized that her music fits so well with the instrument. And then we published a book last November, so it's still a fairly new book, of 12 arrangements of Chiquinha Gonzaga's work arranged for the guitar. So it features some of her most famous pieces and other hidden jewels that now can get a new voice in our instrument.
So with Gonzaga, how did you first discover her music? And maybe you could tell us a little bit about it, because I'm sure, I would assume, and maybe that's not the best thing, but I would assume it's maybe influenced by Brazilian rhythms and folk melodies and things like that. But tell me a little bit about her music, because I'm not familiar with it. I'm looking forward to hearing it for the first time. But
Of course. So Gonzaga is a fascinating composer because all of these things that we talk about Brazilian music, the rhythms, the very clear organization of the piece, the sections. Gonzaga did that, as early as 1870s. So she's a celebrated composer in Brazil. So a lot of people play her music in other contexts. She's already widely known in the piano. She was a theater music author. In fact, she's one of the many first things that she did. She was one of the founders of Brazilian Society of Theater Music, of playwrights. So as I was listening to some of her songs on YouTube one day, like 2 years ago, I was so fascinated by a specific singer in Brazil that we have called Maria Bethânia. I was so fascinated and touched by her singing one of Chiquinha's songs and Gonzaga songs that I just felt so compelled to be like, oh my God, I need to play that on the guitar. And she has, for me, she's outstanding, not necessarily because of the scope of her work in complexity terms, but she wrote more than 300 works, a lot of orchestra pieces, a lot of piano and voice, and a lot of piano music, but because she does this blend of European music tradition, salon music from European influences with Afro-diasporic influences as well. Gonzaga had a very, very clever, intelligent, and wide perspective of the music of Rio de Janeiro at her time. So she's one of the founders of Brazilian music as we know today. But what I find interesting is because she was doing that as early as almost like the mid of 19th century. So you can expect a lot of beautiful melodies too, not only the rhythms, but beautiful melodies, melodies that are very singable at the same time that you can see a lot of influences of later guitar composers. Even Villa-Lobos, we can imagine that Heitor Villa-Lobos, when he was writing for the guitar, he was a contemporary of Gonzaga. Gonzaga passed away in 1935 in Rio de Janeiro, which is a lot of Villa-Lobos' production was being just written by that time. So yeah.
And remind me, maybe you said this already, so I apologize, but are there original pieces for guitar, or are they all arrangements?
That's a very good question that opens a lot of things for discussion.
All right.
For the book, they're all arrangements. Chiquinha Gonzaga, as of now, as we're speaking in March of 2026 here in New York, there are no public available pieces of her for the guitar. We know that she wrote for the guitar because of many of her biographers, including Edinha Gonzaga, but the work that we have from her that's available online does not feature any guitar works. According to Edinha, her biographer, there's one guitar work that survived, but is in an archive, a private archive in Brazil. However, I would like to add, the guitar was part of her life in many different occasions. So in one of the occasions when during her early years, where she had to stop playing the piano for a while because of marriage reasons, because of the society of her time, it was the guitar, the instrument that she had on her side, for example. Another case is there are registers of a concert that she organized in Rio de Janeiro that featured dozens of guitar people playing her music. The point is, as of now, there are no registers of written scores of that survived or they are available as of now. So the guitar was part of her life in different instances. However, she knew how to play the guitar, but she was not a guitar player, so to say. So yeah, that's why it's so interesting, because Brazilian music, a lot of the main features of Brazilian music are much amplified and enhanced by the instrument guitar, and the fact that she was not a guitar player, but she had the sound of a guitar by her side in many different occasions and shared that common aesthetic, makes everything so much interesting when we bring her music to the guitar. So yeah.
Yeah, I would imagine that would feel like, the first time you're transcribing an Albanese piece or something from the piano. You're like, okay, you get the sense the spirit of the guitar is there, but maybe it sounds all the more natural on our instrument. So, wow, I'm super excited for that. That's I didn't know about that there are pieces out there, maybe but hey, on our concert on March 21st on Saturday at Christ Church Cobble Hill, we'll be able to hear some of those arrangements, right? What else is on the program?
So in the program, we're gonna have the first half of the program, some of those arrangements, and the second half, the repertoire that I'm dedicating for the album. So we are going to be able to hear some Radamés Nhatali, some Marco Pereira, and some other pieces that are going to dialogue with that. Some other pieces from living composers, or pieces such as Heitor Villa-Lobos, because there's almost no way for us to talk about Brazilian guitar without covering Villa-Lobos. So yes.
Well, Octávio, thank you so much for your time today. We're really excited to have you back at Christ Church. I know last time it was at the Dojo, which was fun, but not quite a big enough concert venue, but it was fun. If you check out online, there's some great photos from that concert. So I think you'll really enjoy the space. The guitar sounds wonderful in there. And thanks everybody for checking out our little conversation today. You can find more information about the concert and about Octávio here at our website, bkcgs.org, and hope to see you at the concert.